In today's class, we are going to see how Scandinavians influence the English language. Who were the Scandinavians? Why is the Scandinavian influence one of the most important influences on English language? Find out with me in this video. This is Monami Mukherjee. Welcome to Nibble Pop. Now, from our previous discussions, we have come to know that Old English was essentially a Teutonic language. Now, towards the end of the Old English period, foreign influences started to creep in and change the way the language was spoken. We know about the three superstructures like the Scandinavians, the French and the Latin who have influenced the language. In today's class, we are going to see how Scandinavians influence the English language. Now, who were the Scandinavians? Scandinavians were the Danes and the Norwegians who started to attack the coastline of England and eventually settled there. Now, this whole phenomenon started from around 790 AD and continued for another 100 years. And by the end of that period, you have Scandinavian settlers who dominated the native English people in a way that you couldn't even identify them separately. Why this happened? Because in case of French or Latin influences, what we have is a kind of an alien language coming in because those were not from the Teutonic branch. But the language which the Scandinavians spoke, that also belonged to the Teutonic group, and therefore when these two languages came together, the assimilation was very natural. So the Englishmen had less discomfort and they actively adopted words from the Scandinavian vocabulary as well as the grammatical ways of using those words. What is even more important is that the influence was seen not so much on vocabulary as much as on grammar or syntax. Alright, vocabulary means when you take words from one language and what I was talking about in our discussion on loanwords, that is called impact on vocabulary. But in case of Scandinavian influence, the influence was even greater when it came to the question of grammar and syntax, which means usage of those words. Okay, so this is even a deeper impact than the impact of the French or the Latin influence. Let us first focus on the vocabulary part of it. How Scandinavians influence the vocabulary of England or English people. Now, when there is a cultural or political exchange between two nations, usually the more dominant nation passes on certain words to the less powerful nation. But when it came to the Scandinavians, the Englishmen did not find the Scandinavians to be culturally superior because they belong to similar ways of life, similar attitudes to life, and there was no essential difference in culture of these two categories of people. Therefore, words which were adopted from Scandinavians, they can be classified into three categories. Okay, first you have certain place names or proper names or names of people which started to be adopted. Then you have new words of Danish origin which are introduced, and then you have a grammatical element to it where the grammar is modified. Now, first we are going to talk about the place names and proper names. Place ending in by, thorp, beck, dale, tuft, etc. These suffixes were not originally found in English, in Old English. But after the Scandinavian phase, you have these words introduced, okay, as suffixes. Alright, what kind of suffixes? You can take the example of Whitby or Goldthorpe. So these are place names where the ending is Scandinavian. So what does this word thorp mean actually? It means village. This kind of joining of a Scandinavian ending to an existing English word is because of the linguistic inventiveness of the Englishmen, which I have again talked about in my previous class. So if you haven't watched that video on loan words and why are they important, I'll advise you to go to that video. The link is given in the description box. You can also press the I button going up there. You will understand why English language is so ready to take up new words from another language. So far as personal names are concerned, proper names are concerned, you will notice that SON is a very common ending of names. Gibson, Thompson, Johnson. So that SON ending is introduced from the Scandinavians. So there are many such instances, and it is not possible for me to state all of them here. You will get the complete list and more examples in the article which I have provided in detail on my website. Again, the link is given in the description box. I'll advise you strongly to go to that article so that it will help you to prepare an answer for your exams. Okay. Coming to the second category of vocabulary related loan words, you have law terms and war terms. So when the Scandinavians started to rule over different parts of England, they started to introduce their legal terms, because that is important when you rule one place. Legal terms and military terms are generally taken up whenever one nation is politically dominant over another nation. Now in this case, the Scandinavians had been ruling over the Englishmen, and so they passed on their legal terms. And what were those terms? Interestingly, the term law itself, bylaw. Then you have the word thrall. So all these important words which are used even now are Scandinavian in origin. Now one thing you have to remember is that it's not like there was nothing which meant law in those terms in England. Like people were lawless. No, not that. They had a word, but after the Scandinavians came and this word law was introduced, taken up by the Englishmen, then that original word, it got lost. So we don't know that word now. We do not know what word they used or what kind of meaning that word had. Now, interestingly, although I named only 3 words like law, bylaw and thrall, there were many other words which the Scandinavians gave to the Englishmen, but many of them did not survive. We do not know about them. Why? Because influences did not stop there. Right after the Scandinavian influence, you have the French influence when the Frenchmen started to rule the Englishmen. And then what happened? Then the French legal terms were introduced. So again, the Scandinavian words were obliterated, removed, erased by the use of the French words. But law, bylaw and thrall, these 3 words survived that French influence too. Okay. So it's not that they gave only 3 words. They gave more than 3 words, way more than 3 words. But we now know only of these 3 words. Another area where the Scandinavians were superior to English were the area of warfare, especially naval warfare. Okay, navy. Because these Norse attackers, these Scandinavians, they attacked from the sea. Therefore, their superiority in naval warfare is reflected in the words which they passed on to English. Okay, what kind of words we have? Words which you don't use anymore, but I'm just giving you some examples. One is orest, which meant battle. Fylken, which meant to marshal or to direct someone. Then you have lith, which meant fleet. But these words again disappeared. Why? Same reason. The French came and they removed the Scandinavian words. Now, it's not like the French people came and they said, from today you won't speak any Danish words or you won't use any words related to Scandinavians. No, it happened very naturally because the rulers were using French words. So automatically the people who were ruled, they were using the Scandinavian words, but they started to imitate the rulers Because it is easier when you have a ruler, he has a set of words, it is easier for you to communicate. You learn their language. They won't learn your language. This is how the Scandinavian words started to get erased. That is why we think that Scandinavians did not influence the vocabulary so much, because whatever influence they had was erased or removed. So far as everyday life was concerned, we have fewer examples. We have examples like knife, window, okay, we have stick. So these words are related to household activities or architecture, and because the Scandinavians did not have high superiority, they were not culturally more advanced than the English. Therefore, words from everyday life and art and architecture, these were not taken up in that huge amount as it was taken up in case of French or the Latin. So these were the three aspects in which words were taken up. Now I'm going to talk about some of the very interesting things that happened with some existing Old English words. Now there were some words in Old English which were not used so much. I'm giving you three examples again. Till, it's a preposition. Then you have blend and run. So these three words were there in the Old English, but they were not used so much. They were almost getting erased. The Scandinavians came, they also had these three words. So after they came, they revitalized these three words. They started to use these words with more frequency. And therefore, these three words, which otherwise would have gone away, came back to the vocabulary. So you have words from Old English which were revitalized by the Scandinavian influence. Now, I am going to talk about another interesting thing that happened. Sometimes, there were these double words. Double words means similar sounding words. One was already existing in Old English and one was existing in the Scandinavians. For example, the word no is Old English and nay is Scandinavian, N-A-Y. Both mean the same thing. Then you have the word shirt, which is Old English, and skirt, which is Scandinavian. Again, there is a difference in meaning, but both of them relate to the same kind of thing, garment which a person wears. And then you have the words from and fro. From is Old English and fro is Scandinavian. You know the expression to and fro? That fro is Scandinavian. Okay. So this usage of similar sounding words which appear in Scandinavian vocabulary is also seen in case of these double words. Now some cases were there where the Scandinavian words were wiped out. You have two words. One is fish, which is Old English, and fisk, which is Scandinavian. The word fisk was not used later on. Okay, so its usage was wiped out and the word fish continued to be used. Now I'm going to talk about a very interesting word. You have heard the word dream. Now what does the word dream mean? Dream means a vision, something you see when you're asleep. Okay, so you know what a dream is. But in Old English, this word meant something else. It meant joy. Okay, it came from the Old English drama. Okay, it's pronounced something like that. It meant joy. So you remember you have studied about dream of the rood. So that dream of the rood does not mean that cross of Christ was sleeping and dreaming something. It means the joy of the rood. Why was the rood or that cross happy? Because it got the opportunity to have the honor of the Christ's sacrifice. Okay. So joy is the meaning of Old English word dream. After the Scandinavian influence started, this meaning changed, because when in Middle English this word is used, especially in Chaucer, we find that dream actually means a vision which you see when you're asleep. Okay. That is the meaning which we have now. So this sense shifting is something which happened because of the Scandinavians, in whose vocabulary this meaning was related to vision of the night. Similarly, the word bread, it originally meant a fragment. Fragment means a piece. But in the Danish vocabulary, there is a word called brot. and brod means loaf. So when the Scandinavians came and brought that word brod with them, then the Englishmen associated their existing word bread with this new word brod, and the meanings kind of joined, fused. And now what do we mean by bread? We mean the whole bread. We don't mean single fragments or pieces of bread. Okay? So you understand what is happening here. The sense is shifting. Another interesting word is the word gift. You all know the meaning of it. Originally in Old English, the word meant dowry given in the time of marriage. But after the Scandinavians came, the meaning shifted to this more general meaning of presenting anything to anyone. So far as sense shifting is concerned, you have to remember words like dream, bread and gift. Now, we will come to the next interesting phenomena. What is the verb and adjective of death? Verb is die and adjective is did. Okay, so noun is death. When you use it as a verb, you say that he died or he dies. And in case of adjective, we say that he is a dead man. Okay. But in Old English, a very funny thing happened. The word death was there. Alright. But the verb associated with it was completely different. The verb was stjorfen and the adjective was swelten. Now, usually in English, what happens? The verb is, very similar sounding to the noun or to the adjective. But when you say stjorfen or swelten, you have no connection with death. But this used to be, in use in Old English. In Scandinavians, they had this word dea, which means to die. So when the Scandinavians came, the Englishmen saw that their word or their verb, dea, is closer to death than our verb. So what they did, they completely replaced their verb with the Scandinavian verb, and from there they started to use the expression to die and did. Now, interestingly, stjorfen now started to mean specific thing. Stjorfen meant starve when you go without food. So that is related to death, but you do not directly associate it as the verb or the adjective with death. So what happened is, they found the Scandinavian verb closer to their noun than their original verb and replaced it. So this is another interesting example, because sometimes in word notes you are asked to write notes on the origin of the word die, okay, or the origin of the word bread or the origin of the word dream. So if you know about these basic things, then it becomes easy for you to explain those words in terms of their etymologies or origins. We also have very important influences so far as pronouns are concerned. Pronouns like they, them, their, okay, then both. So these pronouns were used as a result of the Scandinavian influences. Now I've given this complete list of pronouns and verbs and everything in that article. So I will really ask you to go there and find them out. You don't have to memorize all the words for your exams. Let me be very clear. You will have to give your examiner the idea that you know about this phenomenon. Okay, that the sense shifting happened, for example, in dream. Okay, the pronouns were adopted such as they, them, their. So then the examiner will have this feeling that, okay, this student, he or she knows about the ways in which Scandinavians changed English, because it is not humanly possible to memorize all the words, and that's not a healthy way to write an answer also. Your answer should not be an inhuman list of words. It should be about the process in which the words were used by the English people. Why were these words taken up? Okay, so focus on the process, not just on the examples. It is good to give a few examples, but it should not be the focus of your answer. Okay, so these were the elements of Scandinavian influence which is related to the vocabulary of English language. Now we will see how the grammar and syntax that was influenced by the Scandinavians. Again, I will concentrate more on the process. You can find the words from the article. So how did the Scandinavians influence the grammar of English? So far as grammar is concerned, the Scandinavian influence was seen in case of inflectional endings. Now, what are inflectional endings? Inflectional endings are endings of verbs or words which gives additional meaning in terms of tense or number. For example, when you say he goes to school, you are using S with the verb to indicate that he is a singular. Okay. Therefore, S is an inflectional ending because this S ending will tell us that the subject of this sentence is singular. Okay. Similarly, there are many such inflectional endings which we find in Old English that got simplified after the advent of the Scandinavians. Again, I will give you the entire list in my article. It is easier for you to go and see there the examples which I have given, so that you'll understand that the main point of Scandinavian influence here is that they simplified the complexities of English grammar. Now, the evolution of English is, again, I'm repeating myself, it is a transition or an evolution from chaos to cosmos. When you have a lot of inflectional endings, different kinds of rules, it becomes difficult for a new speaker to understand that language or to speak in that language. So the Scandinavians, they came, they did not care for so many rules, so they simplified it. And because they were mostly the ruling people, their simplification became the rule. Right. So now we have less complicated rules in English than, say, in Chinese or in Sanskrit, so far as inflectional endings are concerned. So what do we understand from it all? We understand that Scandinavian influence on English language was a very democratic process. Democratic means the loan words mostly belong to the words of the common man's vocabulary. So it was not so much a political impact as it was a social impact. And why was it occasioned? It was because their connection was more intimate. Sometimes Scandinavian families, they settled down in England and they got married to English people. And sometimes these intertribe marriages, they led to this fusion very naturally. Okay, so it came from home. It was not imposed upon the house, or it was not imposed upon the common man. The common man initiated the transition. So it is more democratic than influences of the French or the Latin. Latin is completely intellectual so far as influence is concerned, and French is more political, military, related to cuisine and related to high lifestyle. So we will talk about those things in detail when we will talk about French influence. But Scandinavian influence was mostly impacted or influenced by everyday exchange of words. And therefore, everyday use of grammar was also impacted. So what have we learned today? We have learned that Scandinavians were the first to influence Old English, and how this influence was seen in terms of vocabulary as well as grammar. And in both these aspects, this kind of influence or this particular influence was very democratic in nature. I'm sure you have understood quite a bit about Scandinavians from this class, and I really hope to see you very soon in our discussion on French influence. Okay, so I'm really happy to have you here. Subscribe to my channel if you like these classes. Till our next meeting, have a nice time. Bye-bye.